Mixing resin up is an important part of resin casting, so today's quick tips video is all about mixing sticks and other tricks that you can use for mixing up your resin. So stick with me and we'll get right to it. All right, so mixing sticks, not the most exciting topic necessarily, but I do get questions, and sometimes I think people don't even realize, what you could use for mixing sticks. And so I've come up with a couple of things, some things that I've found to work better, and a couple of different ideas that I use when mixing resin. Now, the first thing, what I mostly use is just your typical, craft stick type thing. I'm going to put quotation marks around that because I've actually found that the craft sticks, and I don't know if it's just the supplier that I was getting them from, but they just got worse and worse. They'd be warped. They were honestly kind of splintery, and I wasn't happy with the overall quality of the sticks that I was getting. And so I finally found tongue depressors, which is basically just a high quality craft stick. And they're not really that, different in price or anything like that, but the edges are very straight, smooth. You don't want to be sticking things on your tongue that have splinters and weird edges. So tongue depressors. The one thing I will mention though, make sure if you do go and search for tongue depressors, make sure they're de-waxed or not, no wax is used in it. I guess there are some that are waxed. So you might even want to call the manufacturer because you don't really want to be introducing wax into resin. But I found some on Amazon, so I'll have a link in the show notes where I get these, and they've been working really good. Now, one thing I do, the craft sticks or these tongue depressors, all these things, they usually have a rounded tip. And I've found that I actually cut a flat on one end, and it works a lot better because you can really get to the bottom of the cup and scrape the bottom better. So I just pretty quick, cross cut on the bandsaw or the table saw, and then just do a batch of them, put them in a cup, and they're ready to go. So for the most part, this is what I use. Now I want to mention one problem that can happen when you're using wooden sticks. In some cases, if it's extremely humid and or there's moisture in your sticks, that can have a negative effect with the resin. Alumilite definitely hates moisture in it, so it can make it foam up and cause bubbles and all kinds of stuff. So in some cases, you may need to use something else that does not absorb moisture. Here in Nevada, it doesn't get humid enough for me to worry about, so I don't need to worry about it. Just wanted to mention that though, in some cases it may be necessary to use something that's not absorbent. And that brings us to the next idea, and I actually use these for certain things. Hdpe. So you can get a sheet of it. I think this is about a 3/16 thickness. Just cut it into a square and you got a mixing stick. And the nice thing about Hdpe is you can let the resin just cure and then pop it off. It should just come off pretty easy, and you can reuse the same mixing stick. Now, the reason that I don't do this for everything, because you may be asking, why don't you just use plastic sticks for everything? The problem is because I go through so many castings, I don't have time to clean off every single stick, and it's just easier for me to use something disposable. So that's why I use wood for the most part. But plastic is a great way to go, and again, reusable. Another thing that I've seen people use, and I like the idea, but I for some reason do not like the feel of them, is silicone spatulas. They work great because they will scrape, they'll conform to the edge of the cup no matter what shape it is, and really get all of that resin off. For some reason, I just don't like the weight, the feel, all that stuff, so I don't use them myself, but they work great. And with silicone, being made out of silicone, the resin will definitely just pop right off of it once it cures. Now, for a couple of ideas for special use cases, if you need to mix the resin really quickly, let's say you're using Alumilite white, which sets up really fast, 2-minute working time, or something else that's even shorter working time, you may need to use a stick with holes in it. That's going to allow you to really mix it up fast, but it's not going to slosh it all over the place. If you're trying to do that with, a fully solid stick, there's only a certain amount of whipping that you can get to before the resin's flying all over the place. If you give, you know, a few little release holes, or, you know, if you cut in some holes in your stick, it's gonna let the resin kind of pass through it, but you can mix it really fast. And I found that this is what I use when I'm doing 3 colors with Alumilite white. I pull these types of sticks out. Now, the other idea for if you need to mix something really fast, use a power drill. And what you can do is chuck up a mixer beater or a whisk, or I've even heard people suggest using just chucking up zip ties into the drill chuck, and you got a power mixer. So if you need to furiously mix something, you might need to use power, or let's say you have to mix something that has a lot of resin in it. Power may be the way to go. Now, the other reason that I might recommend using a power drill is if, let's say you have arthritis, or for some reason you have a physical disability, or something's going on where you really can't mix the resin. It hurts, or you can't physically do it. Maybe a power drill might be the way to go for you also. So I hope that helps out a little bit. Hopefully that'll give you a couple of different ideas than maybe you thought of before. That power mixing thing, especially if you have difficulty mixing, that will probably be a really good way to go. So hopefully that helps you guys out and gets you the best results with your resin casting. If you have any other ideas, techniques, or things that you use to mix up the resin, definitely let us know in the comments section down below. The more the merrier with information for this stuff. It always helps out. I always love seeing, what other people have come up with for techniques, and I know that a lot of people out there have a lot more experience with resin casting than I do. So if you have any questions, also leave those down below in the comments section. If you liked the video, definitely hit that like button and share with your friends. It helps a ton. Also, subscribe to the channel so you get updates when new videos get posted. So until next time, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.